Sabrina Okonkwo. And again, we're going to continue to review the book. We just have a few more chapters to go. Again, of Woman Evolved by Sarah Jakes Roberts. This channel is me giving my spin, my insight on different books that I'm reading. So we've been reading this one. We're almost done. I also am a teacher. I'm an encourager. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. And I do believe that we should be applying the gospel daily in our life when we choose to follow Christ. So I also share content about those things on my Instagram channel at Sabrina Okonkwo. So you can follow me there for more content that is not book related. Okay, so let's just jump right in. I'm going on the bottom of page 114. So it says, we talk so much about the euphoria and peace that come when we're in God's will, but I would not be responsible if I did not prepare you for the moments when good goes hard. You're going to make some decisions, and when you make those decisions, there are going to be some moments when you know you're in God's will. But sometimes you are also so tired and weary that you aren't sure whether or not you want to stay in God's will. And I think I want to pause there before I continue. This is so true. This is so true. I think especially when you learn your identity in Christ, which I think some people arrive at that point sooner than others. I know for me, it has definitely been a journey to finally realize who my identity is in Christ, to finally discover what my purpose is. It has definitely been a journey. And yes, part of that is definitely, like she says here, we're going to make decisions. And when we make those decisions that are hard, there are going to be hard decisions. There are things that have to be sacrificed. There are things that have to be let go in order to be in God's will, in His will for our lives. So but the beautiful thing is that even when those things are hard, even when they're hard, that's the best way to say it. There is just a comfort and there is just a security. It just helps us to stand even more flat-footed on who we are in Jesus Christ, on who we are in our purpose, no matter how hard it may be. And then when she says here, but sometimes you are also so tired and weary that you aren't sure whether or not you want to be in the will of God, whether or not you want to stay in the will of God. And I definitely think that there's layers to this. I think that some people, let me start off by saying this. I definitely think that when you get to a certain point, when you have had to fight so much to know your identity, and I'm speaking from experience here. I'm speaking from my experience. Let me just say that. I'm going to address this from my experience. I have had to fight very hard to come into my identity and to finally really know my purpose in God. It has been a journey. I rededicated my life to God in 2006, and it has been a journey. I have gone through mountains, valleys, deserts, you name it, storms, sunshine, ocean view. I've had beautiful moments, but I cannot in any way, there's no way that I can discount the challenges that have come with me getting to the point where I am right now. And I always say, one thing that I've constantly said this year is what I have learned in my personal experience is that once you get to the destination that you've been fighting so hard to get to, once you get to like, whoa, I know my identity. Oh my goodness. I know I really am a daughter of God. God really does love me. I really do have the authority that Jesus Christ said I have, that He gave me when He died for me on the cross of Calvary and resurrected 3 days later. I really do. I really have boldness. When you finally get to that point when you finally know what you were created here on the earth to do, I honestly believe it is going to be very, very hard to go back to how you were before, to go back to mediocrity, to go back to sabotage, to go back to people pleasing, to go back to going through the motions, going through what is the word that I'm looking for? The monotony of life. I honestly believe, and I'm not saying there are life will hit you with blows that might knock you down for a minute. But I honestly believe that when you've had to fight, when you have had to literally like push through, even when you get knocked down, you're not gonna stay down, because you're gonna remember that you had to fight too hard to get to where you are. That's just been my experience. There is no way after having to fight from 2006, to let's say 2015 was one part of the journey. And then from 2015 to now 2021, I have been very, very intentional about figuring out, about seeking those answers from God, about who my identity is and what my purpose is, so that I can be aligned with God's will for my life. So I wanted to address that. And then next it says, I feel like this video is already getting kind of long, so I'm going to, I think I might divvy this up in parts. Now, yeah, because I've already spent, I don't want this video to be too long. So, let me just read the next paragraph where she talks about examples, and I think we'll leave it there. So it says, it's like when a woman makes the decision to be celibate, but then dating becomes a gazillion times harder. Let me just stop right here and address this, okay? This is a perfect example. And that's where I kind of go. So the other level, let me go back. The other level that I wanted to talk about was, if you aren't sure if you want to stay in God's will, I think it's because there's still work that needs to be done in discovering your identity and being comfortable in your identity and accepting your identity in Christ. I think that's part of it. Because if you know your identity and you know your purpose and you know your worth and you have had to fight to get there, if you make that decision to be celibate, it is going to be, you are not going to be at peace, because yes, being in God's will takes hard decisions, but those hard decisions are worth it, because being in God's will brings peace. Being in God's will erases double-mindedness. And it doesn't mean that you won't ever kind of doubt, but when that security comes, when you are just secure in who you are not going to be constantly, like the word says, going to and fro wherever the wind is blowing. You're not. So if you decide to be celibate, right? I don't think that dating is going to become a lot harder. It's actually going to become easier, because then you're going to know who's worth your time and who is not worth your time, because you're not going to waste time settling. You're not going to waste your time dealing with people who aren't aligned, who don't have the same vision as you. You're not going to waste your time messing with somebody who obviously is not willing to pay the price of celibacy the way you are. You're going to realize that you're wasting your time. There's no benefit to that. That person is occupying the space of who God has for you. That's part of what comes with knowing your identity. It says, or when you choose to quit the addiction, then you realize you won't be able to hang out with your friends without being tempted. Again, I'm not saying that these decisions won't be hard, but there's going to be a peace that comes that I just feel like when you fought so hard and you finally get the peace of knowing your identity and your purpose, there's just some things you're just not going to settle for. I can speak for me. There's just some places I'm just not going to go. There's just some people who I just don't have any interest in talking to. We're just not on the same page in life in this season. So yes, and it doesn't mean that it's not hard. It doesn't mean that it's not hard, but the hard is worth it because being in God's will brings a peace that doesn't compare to anything else that I could possibly feel, that I could possibly experience. Is that you choose to save money, but then you're no longer living the lifestyle because you've been accustomed to. The whole instant gratification thing. A lot of times it's just so hard for people to pay the price because they want instant results. And that's just not how this works. That is not, it's worth it to wait. It is worth it to wait though. Even though you're not going to get instant results, it is worth the wait. And it says the examples are countless, but the feelings are similar. Good doesn't always equal easy, and easy doesn't always mean that it's good. Okay? But what I can say is that good, even though it doesn't equal easy, it does equal peace. I can honestly say it equals peace at the end of the day. You might have to go over some bumps. You might have to sit with yourself and process some information, process your feelings, have a heart-to-heart with God about how you're really feeling, about having to make this hard decision. But when you get on the other side of making that hard decision and you see that you are in God's will, and you making that hard decision opens up more doors to what God really has for you, because he's not wanting you to make these hard decisions to leave you stuck. He's not wanting to make these hard decisions for you to stay where you were. It's to move you forward. So when you get on the other side of that, you see it's worth it. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. It's totally worth the sacrifice of whatever it is that you need to let go, whatever it is that you need to forget about, whatever it is that you need to just cross out of the plan that you had planned for your life, so that God can come in and take over and establish his plan, which I think we all know is a million times better than anything that we could even think or imagine, because that's what the word says to us. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. I wanted to read more, but I'm going to leave this here. I think I've spoken enough. Thank you so much for watching this video. Continue to watch, to subscribe to my channel, comment below. Let's chit chat. Okay, thank you so much.